All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the three-game slate that we have on Sunday for Wildcard Weekend. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, guys, real quickly, I do want to take a quick peek at the three games in terms of the game total and the point spread. So, the Bills vs. Jaguars game is a very high-scoring game at 51.5 total points, with it being a very close game. Okay, so I do think that this is going to be a game we want to be targeting for DFS purposes. We're going to weight it a little bit heavier. After that, guys, we look at the Niners versus the Eagles, a game in which the Eagles are about 6-point favorites, which I'm kind of interested in that. That's interesting, but only 44.5 total points. So kind of a not as appealing game. And then we see that the Patriots versus Chargers game, 3.5 point spread, and also about 46 total points. So I do think there's kind of clearly one very good game we want to be targeting with, 5 more points being scored, and that's going to be that opening game. What's interesting about that, guys, is you can make some lineups based off of that opening game. You could really stack that game, and you might have some lineups that aren't so good. Pick and choose some spots there. But the point I'm making is because that's the most appealing game, there is some game theory behind leaving some lineups potentially open to make some slight adjustments via how the opening game ends up going, because that is going to be the most appealing game for DFS purposes. So, guys, let's go ahead and just take a peek at the quarterbacks that we are getting on the slate. When we sort it by value, guys, Trevor Lawrence actually pops up as the best value, which I find interesting. Now, basically, the quarterbacks are priced pretty well for this slate. There's no one egregiously mispriced or overpriced. The issue that I have is honestly that we have a lot of value on this slate, especially at the receiver position, especially in regards to Buffalo as well. So it makes a lot of sense just to pay up for Josh Allen. Okay, he is very easy to stack. I'll talk about that in a little bit. That being said, I think Drake May is actually more difficult to stack. They obviously draw a more difficult matchup as well. Hurts versus Niners. Hurts does draw a good matchup. He obviously is a little bit rushing touchdown dependent. His rushing line is at about 0.5. So basically a 50-50 split there. We need him to score a touchdown if we're going to be playing him rushing. We basically need that. And I will say, I do think that the pricing on Purdy and Herbert is wrong. Like, if you need to get to either of them, I'm perfectly fine getting to it. And again, that's the issue with this slate, is it makes so much more sense just to pay for Josh Allen. Although I think you really could make a logical reason to play every quarterback. Heck, Trevor Lawrence is in a decent game, obviously, a high scoring game, and he's been going off lately. And so and he's easy to stack. Parker Washington is cheap, Jacoby Myers is cheap, and Brendan Strange is also pretty appealing as well. And so, yes, guys, I think we just go and end up playing Josh Allen there. Now, if we are playing Josh Allen, let's talk about players that we could be stacking him with his receivers. I don't mind the idea of getting to Shakir, but we look at the pricing, guys. His receivers are all pretty cheap. We do see Josh Palmer is currently questionable as well, guys. I'm expecting him to play, although if he were to sit, that would just make Brandon Cooks so easy of a click, guys. Not listed on the injury report. He should be good to go. He ended up playing 50% of the snaps in week 17 and 52% of the snaps, 50% of the routes, had 134 air yards. He holds massive upside, guys, and I really like him as a play, especially if Josh Palmer sits. That being said, Shakir is very cheap. I think you could potentially get to him. He's kind of a shoulder shrug play. And then we see Dawson Knox, guys. Dawson Knox has been out-snapping Dalton Kincaid and been pretty darn productive lately. I don't mind the idea of getting to him, although I don't think we're necessarily going to have to get to him. And we jump into the running backs here, guys. To me, this is the most difficult part about the slate. I think we are just simply going to be playing CMC. Yes, the Niners did have a poor game against Seattle, and that's pretty unfortunate because not the correct momentum you want heading into the playoffs. It ultimately was a close game, but I mean, not a good game for the Niners. That being said, I do think CMC is kind of the clear pay up here. This is a better matchup as well for him, and this is really how you attack the Eagles, is by the running back position. And so I do think CMC is just kind of the clearly easy click. And then from there, I basically agree with the pricing that we have here. Although if Hampton were to sit, that does make the slate easier because then we're just playing Kamani Vidal at his price tag. Like, he's just very easy. And then you really are paying up for a bunch of studs. You can kind of improve the receivers that you're going to be on. But if Hampton plays, I kind of agree with the pricing, although I think I would slot both Henderson and Stevenson above him, like pricing wise. I think we could make a case for James Cook. Like, James Cook is someone that really can break the slate in one way or the other. He's had a few duds mixed in there this season, but he's also went off in random spots as well. Like, this game against Houston is a perfect example of that. That is a game where you would have expected him not to go off, to struggle, and he did. He went off. And then in this game against Cincinnati, should have been a smash spot for him. He went for 12. Okay, that has been the James Cook experience. And so it's weird, kind of given the fact that he hasn't went off the last, couple of games. I mean, the Jets game doesn't matter. They're sitting their starters. But the fact that he didn't go off against the Eagles, to me, it makes him more appealing. And the fact that people probably aren't going to be paying up for him is appealing to me. That being said, Barkley's fine. I do think it's worth calling out that I think Travis Etienne is going to see a slight workload reduction with Baishal Tootin being back active. We did see that occur last week, although I think it was mostly due to the game being a blowout, but also Tootin was back. He did see like a month-long low there, and so maybe there's something there. He ended up playing, 56% of the snaps, which again, I would assume if it's not a blowout, he's getting probably 63% or so, which, that could end up making the difference, but he is appealing to me as well. Like, he definitely has a big play and GPP winning upside. That being said, it's tough to deny how well both Travion Henderson and Riandre Stevenson have looked lately, especially Stevenson, and they're mispriced. And so if you're making hand builds, it's very difficult to choose which running back to be on. Logically speaking, they're all appealing. They're all priced correctly. Again, we have plenty of value to the point where you can pay for any of them. I guess I'll get to ETN for now in a way of attacking that high scoring game. And that's kind of the kicker for me. The 50-50 decision maker for me is that game's higher scoring. So I'm going to favor ETN. You could also make the case for just paying up for James Cook then. Now we jump on into the receivers, and the receiving spot is also pretty difficult for me as well. I don't mind the idea of paying up for AJ Brown. I mentioned we do have a bunch of value. You could easily fit him into your builds if you guys want to do that, but then you're not paying up at tight end, and I'd be fine with that. If you guys want to get up to AJ Brown instead of George Kittle, you can, but I'm probably going to be trying to get to George Kittle. So if we're not playing Brown, Diggs is appealing, but also he's someone that's very hit or miss as well. Devonta Smith, if you're not playing AJ Brown, it does make sense to play Smith. Now, if you're not playing either of them, you're really just probably hoping for Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns, or you should be playing Barkley or Dallas Goedert's more in play, which the lineup I'll give you guys at the end does not have that. And so, literally me thinking that through, that's definitely a mistake right there. Definitely need to be on some Eagles offensive player because they're 6-point favorites in that game. Yeah, probably should be on Barkley or Goddard if we're not playing Brown or Smith. That's just not the way that my roster's worked out. I don't mind Ladd. Juwan Jennings, guys, if Ricky Pearsall sits, you almost have to play him. Now, he does draw a difficult matchup as well, don't get me wrong, but that being said, he is going to get a lot of targets with Pearsall potentially sitting. If Pearsall plays, he is more appealing to me than Juwan Jennings. And so the receiver spot's difficult because I do like Jacoby Myers. I also think we just kind of ride the hot hand with Parker Washington. Do you think there's a chance that one of those receivers goes off? Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. catches a deep shot, but overall, it has been Parker Washington. So I'm just going to stick with him. I'm going to ride the hot hand. And I will say, value-wise, Quentin Johnston's price tag is just wrong. You could argue so is Keenan Allen's. Again, there's kind of a weird situation where I kind of think we want to begin to one of those two in a decent amount of our builds with it being the playoffs. I think Keenan Allen will see his snaps go up a little bit more so, but Johnston is definitely kind of more the big play type of receiver. And so I think he has a very solid chance of scoring a touchdown in that game for the Chargers. If there's a player that has a good chance to score a touchdown, I think it's him for them. And so I also like him. I think he's kind of poorly priced, and I kind of like chasing his upside. Now, I do think it's worth just looking at what the data is telling us for this game as well, or for these plays as well. It is saying CMC kind of the top play, value-wise as well, and then saying Barkley, Cook, Etienne, Henderson, Stevens. So basically the same stuff, but there isn't a big spread, guys. They're all pretty much in line. And that's where if Vidal is the starter, the Phantom's out, he's just kind of an easy play for us. That does simplify the slate a little bit. We look at the receivers as well. Again, not too much value. If you want to pay up for AJ Brown, you can do that, but Parker Washington does project to be the best value, and that's where I'm getting to him, and I like the fact that we are getting exposure to that game. Now, I do like Shakir as well at 4.8, but I would just rather get to Cooks, and I think Cooks will start to pop up here if we get news that Josh Palmer is out, but we probably won't get that news. He's probably not someone that's going to pop necessarily data-wise, because sportsbooks are going to keep it like it is, about 2 receptions, about 20 yards. We're hoping for those air yards to be there again for him, which I think it could happen. I don't mind chasing that. And then while we're here, let's just talk about the tight ends as well. So value-wise, Kincaid's interesting. I don't know if I necessarily want to mess with that. I kind of like Knox a little bit more, who again has been out snapping Kincaid, which is not too shocking. Kincaid is more the pass catcher. Knox is kind of the do-it-all. I'm okay with that. Hunter Henry pops up as a good value. Then you also have Goddard, Strange there, and even Gadsden's a little bit appealing from a touchdown perspective. Like if he could get a touchdown. But I think we're just paying up for Kittle. You know, there's enough value. Again, as I mentioned, I just kind of like getting to him, especially if Ricky Pearsall's out. That benefits George Kittle a decent amount. And so we'll plug him into the build here as well. DST-wise, I am struggling here, guys. I don't like paying up for DST, as you guys know. I think we'd be better suited just going with the Chargers DST and punting there. I think that makes sense. If you guys don't like your lineup and want to do that, I'm fine with it. But for now, we'll put Patriots in there. Then we have 4.8 left over. Perfect, guys. We're playing Josh Allen with Khalil Shakir. That makes sense in the stack. And we get another piece to that very high-scoring game. So we're getting the top running back play on the site. And we're getting the top tight end play on the site with the best quarterback. And we're also getting, 1, 2, 3 more pieces of the highest-scoring game. Very much appealing. While we are also targeting the Patriots in what probably will be a run-heavy approach for the Patriots as well. So somewhat appealing there, but let's go ahead and see what the 9-to-5 data is like in here. And by that, I mean the lineup builder. So we'll take a peek here, guys. So the top lineup is getting to multiple tight ends in the flex. If you guys have been following the channel, that happens a lot. And so I'm going to go flex and eligible. If you guys want to play a tight end in the flex, you could certainly do that. I don't necessarily like it. So yes, we're going to generate the lineups, take the flex out, tight end in the flex out. Then we're getting to Parker Washington. Okay, so that makes more sense. What's interesting here is trying to get to 2 stud running backs as the top build instead of receivers. So kind of it's still getting AJ Brown, but then it's punting like Washington, Brian Thomas, Washington, Shakir, Allen, which I'm kind of okay with. Let's see the highest ownership lineup. Josh Allen, Barkley, ETN, CMC, Smith, Shakir. I mean, this lineup's not bad. I don't mind this. Again, I kind of like into Kittle a little bit more, but also this is not terrible. But guys, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Be on the lookout for the Sunday NFL DFS video as well, where I'll be breaking down that game for the showdown slate in a little bit more detail there. So be on the lookout for that video, guys. And also, obviously, be covering the Monday Night Football game as well. So that's going to do it, though, for this video, guys. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel as well. Would love to get this channel up to 500 subscribers, guys. Honestly, that's just a way for me to start making money on this channel. If you guys have been following me for quite some time, you know I recently had to kind of separate the 2 channels that I have, the 9-to-5 Sports channel, where kind of going more towards prop betting there, and this I hope to grow into a successful DFS channel. It's just we live in an algorithmic world where I can't really control that. Pushing DFS content and prop content should be the same audience. Ultimately, was starting the video. So show support to this channel. That is appreciated, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.